Enterprises today face increasing cybersecurity threats to their critical IT data and applications. Organizations with Z-Series systems need to ensure that these systems are secure and in continuous compliance with government regulations, industry requirements, and internal security policies. The best way to achieve these goals is with well-trained security personnel, properly configured z/OS systems, and automated tools. In this webcast, Gartner Research Vice President Ant Allen and Stephen Ringelberg, COO of Vanguard Integrity Professionals, examine the growing threats and vulnerabilities that Z-Series systems face and the best ways to protect them and provide continuous compliance.
The IBM z/OS mainframe certainly is important to many enterprises. We've seen continued growth in the installed base by processing capacity and sustained interest from the industry verticals that have been traditional consumers of mainframe capacity in finance, government, manufacturing, and so on. And now we see very many of the largest enterprises have something like 90% of their critical systems running on the mainframe. A key factor in this is the mainframe's industry-leading reputation in a number of areas, such as virtualization, system management, and of course security. But while the platform is technically sound, security can be compromised by configuration errors and by poor identity and entitlements administration just as easily as on any other platform. Well, security isn't a binary thing. Security is about risk management, about keeping risk to acceptable levels consistent with regulatory requirements and the enterprise's own risk tolerance. Now, the mainframe's industry-leading reputation for security needs effort to attain and sustain. But there are indications that enterprises don't take the same steps for mainframe security as they do for security in other platforms. So z/OS security can fall short of its potential, and that can leave many enterprises exposed to unacceptable levels of risk. We also have evidence of an astonishingly high incidence of high-risk vulnerabilities, and often enterprises don't have the formal programs to identify and remedy those. First, enterprises may put too much trust in the mainframe's reputation for security, leading to a lack of management attention that allows worst practices to continue. While many of the risks may have been historically low, they have certainly increased with increasing mainframe connectivity, and enterprises haven't reviewed and assessed those risks in this light. Second, there is a real shortage of mature mainframe security skills. And this means that configuration and administration errors are more likely on the mainframe than on other operating systems. And, at the same time, less likely that people will find and be able to remedy those problems. The same skills shortage amongst auditors means that some compliance audits are relatively lax and fail to identify some mainframe control weaknesses. And this can feed management's belief that the mainframe remains secure. There are some technical guidelines that can help here, and the ones that we see getting wider currency are the Security Technical Implementation Guides published by the UN's Defense Information Systems Agency. But compliance with these guidelines is hard. A manual SCIG audit can take 5 qualified people up to 5 weeks' effort every 90 days. And even when you do a manual audit, many things can be overlooked because of the sheer vastness of the system. To make their mainframe secure, enterprises must give the mainframes the attention they deserve given their value to the enterprises. Mainframe security is part of a continuum of security and risk management concerns. But we see anecdotal evidence that suggests that in too many enterprises, security is under the aegis of mainframe specialists. Now, while operational responsibility can lie with those specialists, accountability must lie with the enterprise's security and risk management leaders. And the mainframe must be addressed within the same governance frameworks and the same enterprise-wide technology projects as any other enterprise server operating system. We recommend that enterprise consider mainframe-specific tools where they can add significant value. For example, while mainframes should be included in multi-platform security information and event management implementations, those mainframe-specific security audit tools can cover a wider variety of events and give you a much richer view of user activity. But there are other things that enterprises must address, for example, mainframe application security and mainframe network security. And very importantly, this renewed focus on mainframe security mustn't detract attention from other security weaknesses that could ultimately lead to mainframe security breaches. For example, if there's malware on PCs that can capture users' mainframe user IDs and passwords. Our principal recommendation is that enterprises must perform a full mainframe audit, plan remediation, and then execute on that plan. Subsequently, they must ensure that audit and remediation are carried out periodically. But very few enterprises are in a position where they can do that. Some foundational steps are required. Nevertheless, the first thing that enterprises must do is identify and address the highest risk vulnerabilities, the ones that are too critical to ignore or delay remediation. To prepare for the first full audit, enterprises must take the following steps. First, they must ensure that enterprise security and risk management policies, processes, and practices fully embrace the ZEOS mainframe. Second, they must develop or upgrade mainframe security standards, making use of industry expertise. Third, they must invest in mainframe security skills. They cannot assume that mainframe specialists or security specialists already have these. Fourth, evaluate, implement, and use mainframe-specific intelligence tools for status auditing and activity monitoring and reporting. We also recommend that enterprises evaluate and, where appropriate, implement and use mainframe-specific administration tools. Now the enterprise is ready for the ongoing cycle of ZEOS audit and remediation.
Vanguard Integrity Professionals is the leading independent provider of enterprise security software, services, and training for the IBM Z series. Vanguard software and services help large enterprises and government agencies around the world solve complex security and compliance challenges. With Vanguard solutions, organizations can ensure continuous monitoring of ZOS systems, safeguard the cloud, and protect critical data and applications from cybersecurity threats.
We see large enterprises moving more and more of their workloads to the mainframe, not moving away from it. We see implementations that also include a lot of distributed workloads using Z-Linux. So bottom line, the mainframe is probably becoming more important today than it ever was. The state of IT security for ZOS mainframes today is at a level that I think people should be concerned if they're not already concerned. We believe that ZOS mainframe is the most securable system in your data center. But it's securable. It is not inherently secure. When IBM leaves that machine behind, it typically has not implemented the security. You need to do that yourself for yourself. What people forget sometimes is that the mainframe is not separate from the rest of your network. It used to be, but in the late 90s, IBM brought out TCP/IP for the mainframe. We had widespread adoption of that by the middle of the first decade of this century. So for the last 5 years, your mainframe typically has just been another box on your network. The extent of the vulnerabilities are such that you should not assume that your mainframe is inherently secure. We do security assessments all the time. We've done over 100 of them for both private and public enterprises over the last 3 years. We've yet to do a security assessment that had less than 3 Cat 1 findings. Category 1 findings are, it's a DoD term. In the DoD parlance, if you have a Cat 1 finding, just one Cat 1 finding, you should shut your system down until you fix it because your mission's been compromised. At that level of security, we believe that people should be concerned enough about it. We've had appropriately a lot of investment in distributed security, in firewalls, in antivirus for desktops, throughout the distributed network. And basically the investment in mainframe security has gone down as a percentage because of what is a huge investment out in the network. We know that network's going to be penetrated. We know that people are going to get through firewalls. And when they do, and they get to your ZOS mainframe, how are you even going to know about it? What do you have implemented? What are the gaps in your security that you need to take care of? It's a state of security that if I was running a ZOS enterprise, I would be highly concerned about my mainframe. To address mainframe security issues, enterprises really need to focus on 3 different areas. We think the first area to focus on is training. The people who are doing the security administration on your ZOS mainframe need to be trained on security issues. So training the people who are doing your security today is very important. They need to be brought up to date. The mainframe is an ever-evolving platform. We also believe that there needs to be cross-training. You can't have a separated, distributed security team and a mainframe security team. Those folks need to be able to talk to each other. To do that, they need to have common language and a common approach to security. So training your distributed security administrators on ZOS and RACF mainframe security is critical. The second part is to do an assessment of the current state of your security. You can do that either with your internal resources or with third parties like Vanguard. After an assessment, obviously, you need to do remediation. Once you review the criticality of the findings in your assessment, you need to implement the appropriate level of security configurations to meet your needs. Again, that can be with internal resources or with a third-party expert. We call that part find it and fix it. The last part is lock it down. You don't want to have the same assessment 2 years from now after you've invested in the remediation. You want to find it, fix it, and then lock it down so you don't go through it again. That really relies on automated software tools, operational security tools, audit and compliance tools, intrusion management, intrusion detection tools. The mainframe is such a complex system that when you are reviewing your security controls, sometimes you have to look at hundreds of thousands of control points on a single system. You can't do that manually. You really have to have an automated software tool to do that effectively. And we have the operational security tools. Those are automated tools. They are designed to allow your security administrators to manage your access control within your environment very easily with a low error rate, save lots of time, and all of them have a very immediate return on investment in those enterprises that have implemented them. We have our audit and compliance tools and our intrusion management tools. We like to think of those as continuous monitoring tools. Continuous monitoring is becoming prevalent. You can't just report on the status of your security once a year and then remediate over the next year and then report again at the end of that year. You can't even do it on a quarterly basis. Continuous monitoring means you are always aware of the state of your security policies and you're always aware of the state of your security implementations. So those continuous monitoring tools include Vanguard Configuration Manager. Vanguard Configuration Manager is an automated scanner for the security technical implementation guides for the mainframe systems that are endorsed by the National Institute of Standards and Technologies. They're the configuration controls that are supposed to be used by all of the federal government and their outsourcers. They're mandatory for the Department of Defense. They originally came from DISA, the Defense Information System Agencies. To implement the disastigs requires you to have the ability to then monitor your system to make sure that it's configured in accordance with those technical implementation guides. Without an automated scanner, that can take hundreds and hundreds of hours every time you need to do a check. With Vanguard Configuration Manager, to do your review of your security posture, you can do it in less than a day, less than one person. Automated scanner takes care of that. The automated scanner also increases the accuracy of your review of the configuration controls. It will check hundreds of thousands of control points. You just can't do that manually and do it completely. Vanguard Configuration Manager does that. The second tool is Vanguard Policy Manager. We all have problems with what do we do about highly privileged users. A highly privileged user can unlock every locked door. How do we know that they haven't changed my security configuration? How do I know that they haven't given themselves access to things they shouldn't have access to? Policy Manager lets you lock down everybody to a much more granular level than even RACF allows, and it lets you lock down the highly privileged user, which is a problem in all environments. It's the remedy for that. Vanguard Enforcer is a continuous intrusion monitoring system. It matches with what you typically find on other boxes in your system. If somebody's doing unauthorized behavior, you should get an alert. If people are making unauthorized changes, you should get an alert. Vanguard Enforcer does that. It also has an autocorrect mode that it will flip bits back if they've been changed in a way that's not authorized per your policy. And finally, we have Vanguard Advisor, which is an automated alerting tool for specified events that occur on your mainframe. Again, putting all those tools together gives you a way to know what's happening on your mainframe in real time, and it also allows you to generate the reports that you can show that, in fact, for regulators, my system's configured in a way that it's secure. I meet my SOX minimum requirements. I meet my HIPAA minimum requirements. I meet my PCI DSS minimum requirements. If you don't have those reporting tools and those monitoring tools, you don't even know whether you've been hacked. A mainframe has a unique attribute compared to other boxes in your system. It doesn't slow down when it's been hacked, when it's been compromised. Other systems, that's how you know they've been hacked. That's how you know about a denial of service attack. It slows down. It stops working, not the mainframe. If you don't have the automated tools to let you know what happened in real time and be able to generate the reports about the status of your security, you're simply just not going to know what happened on your mainframe.